Here are the top 3 quarterbacks to buy in 2025 Dynasty Fantasy Football. Number 3, let's go with Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville Jaguars. I know it's been a long, disappointing road. Many people wanted to use that word generational with him, and yeah, maybe not so much. But hey, he had some bad coaching, and we definitely understand that. Dysfunctional organization. We remember in 2022, that second half of that season, man, Lawrence was starting to have that mini breakout, looked great, got into the playoffs against the Chiefs. Unfortunately, that didn't end so well. And then we flash forward from there. Last 2 years have not been good. Trending down each year. Last year, only 2,045 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks, 10 games. So, I mean, it's just a little more than half a season and barely 1 touchdown per game. Completion percentage dropped to 60.6%, which was 5% less than he had the prior year. These are not good trends, right? Rushing, that's gone down. He used to get 21 yards a game on the ground, down to 11.9. So again, I'm painting a bad case here for a player we want to buy. And look, make it even worse. Lawrence hasn't had 25 touchdowns through the air in a season. So now that said, obviously it's a buying opportunity because his value can't be much lower than it is. Now, certainly the person possessing Lawrence on the roster knows Liam Cohen's coming in, but there's a history and probably some real frustration with Trevor Lawrence. So this is the time to make that preemptive call because we learned something from Liam Cohen. What I like is he comes from the Sean McVay system, but when he went to Tampa last year, he didn't stick with everything McVay did. He didn't make Mike Evans block. Why would you? But McVay knew that as well. Like when he had Odell Beckham, McVay didn't make Beckham block. That said, Liam Cohen understands flexibility. He's a very smart coach, but he also puts people in the right position to succeed. I'm not, obviously, besides Brian Thomas Jr., right now, I'm not excited about the pass catchers in Jacksonville, but that can get fixed. They can sign, there's some veterans in free agency. The draft certainly could get some players there. That said, I do think Cohen is going to scheme up some very easy passes for Trevor Lawrence to get him in a groove, get him moving the offense, even if it involves screens of Travis Etienne, re-weaponizing him. So I think all that said, I think it's a great buying opportunity. Is it a guarantee that Lawrence is going to become a big deal now that he has Cohen? No, but I do think there's a strong probability we could see a career resurgence because, again, he's not that generational talent, but he is a talented quarterback with the right coaching. And we see this time and again. It's coaching that often dooms some quarterback. All right, let's go to quarterback number 2. We're going to buy some CJ Stroud, Houston Texans. I was out on Stroud last year, and I know we're talking dynasty here, but I was out on him. And the reason I was out on him last year was this. As a rookie, I believe that CJ Stroud benefited greatly because we knew that Bobby Slowick offense at the time, they got that fullback on the field. And when the fullback's on the field, we see with the 49ers back in the day, the Ravens, some Mike McDaniel, Miami, they were using those fullback looks. Well, defenses have to react to that. They bring that extra safety down because you've got to respect the fullback on the field with the run looks. Well, Stroud was getting all these downfield looks against single high coverage and just raking. And it was a beautiful thing. And then I knew last year they cut their fullbacks. And I said, no, Stroud's done this year because he's going to see a too high world. He's not going to be ready for it. Well, Stroud's a good quarterback. And Stroud now saw the league's adjustments. Look, Joe Burrow went through that. Patrick Mahomes went through that. When the leagues went to too high, they had to make adjustments. CJ Stroud's not, I'm not saying CJ Stroud is Mahomes or he is Joe Burrow, but what I'm saying is he's a very talented quarterback. We saw as a rookie, he can win in the right situations. Once he knows what he's dealing with, now he can adapt, make those changes, and go along with that and become better. Now, he still has Nico Collins. We don't have the injury history there. As of right now, the rest of the receiver, Tank Dell, we're probably not going to see him this year. That's not good. But overall, I wish the weapons were a little more deep, but I think they could still address that again in the draft. And at some point, Dell will be back, whether it's next year in 2026, but it'll still be there. But I think it's a great time to buy Stroud. He also upped his rushing a little bit last year. Went from 39 rushes to 52, 233 yards on the ground. Not great, but in the NFL playoffs, remember, we saw him taking off and getting some big yardage. And if he's going to add that to his game, that's an element that people aren't going to really remember a whole lot. So yes, and the offensive line last year in Houston was a disaster. I do have to think at some point they're going to either address that. It was really an off year for all of them. And I know they traded Laramie Tunsil away, but I still think that line they'll fix it enough to help Stroud. So Stroud's a definite buy. All right, if you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Hey, do you know you get a free 2-day trial at RotoWire? You don't even need a credit card. You just go to rotowire.com/Jim. You can check out all the sports we have, rankings, articles, everything we've got. If you like it, join the team. If not, we're happy you took a look to see what we're all about. All right, let's get to number one buy in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears. Look, Caleb Williams, it was a rough rookie year. We've seen this. We've seen coaches that will get their quarterbacks schemed up, looks at their receivers, and it works really, really well. And then we see coaches that don't get it schemed up, and it works very, very poorly. Well, that's what we dealt with last year. Quarterbacks like Jalen Daniels, Bo Nix, there's coaches set them up, got them great opportunities to get the ball out. Caleb Williams had none of that. The Bears, Shane Waldron started the season as the coach. Disaster. Bubble screens to DJ Moore. Offensive line, interior line, it was complete chaos. They couldn't pick up a simulated pressure to save their lives. Caleb Williams got sacked 69 times. Incredible high number, one of the highest in history. He had no chance. He was on the run. Now, on a good note, he rushed for 489 yards. He didn't get a rushing touchdown. Those are fickle. You can't really predict those. But the fact that he ran for that many yards, that's a positive. You bring in Ben Johnson. I don't know if Ben Johnson can carry over what he did in Detroit, but I know he's not Shane Waldron. And I know he already addressed the interior offensive line. Joe Tooney, left guard. Drew Dahlman from Atlanta, center. Jonah Jackson, not a great year last year with the Rams, but he did play with Johnson in Detroit at right guard. The Bears shored it up. And they also have a couple, Braxton Jones, left tackle. You got Darnell Wright in the right tackle. 2 draft picks, good enough players. Bears offensive line could be a strength. DJ Moore, look, again, put in a horrible spot here. He's still a superstar. Romo Dunze, the 9th pick in the 2024 draft. Caleb Williams has himself some weapons here. He has a coach. He'll have an improved offensive line. He will have schemed up passes like he didn't have last year. Caleb Williams, definitely buy him now.